Our history is often portrayed as a sequence of huge events and famous figures like kings and queens, but we know that beneath this well-trodden surface lies a world of extraordinary and obscure stories, a rich and varied tapestry of human experiences that have shaped our world. History is full of the bad, the good, the ugly, and even the incredibly strange. And in today's video, we're going to unmask 15 hidden secrets that could change everything you know about our past. And who knows, maybe these secrets will even change the way you see our present and future. Number 15. Hitler and Disney. The man, the legend, or the dictator, well, call him whatever you want. But this guy was the inspiration for some of history's worst nightmares. We all know Hitler as the monstrous leader behind World War II and the Holocaust, but what most people don't know? He had a bizarre soft spot for Disney movies. Yeah, the same guy who built a war machine and spread fear across Europe was a fan of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In fact, he reportedly called it one of the greatest films ever made. When Roy Disney visited Germany in 1938, he unknowingly sold the rights to the Nazi propaganda ministry, leading to a private screening for Hitler himself. But here's where it gets weirder. Hitler didn't just watch Disney movies, he wanted to recreate them. He had Nazi animators try to mimic Disney's style to make his own twisted versions. Just imagine that. A world where Disney magic meets Nazi propaganda. And another hidden secret about this dude is that he even got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Sadly, he didn't get it. Number 14. The Wounded Knee Tragedy. By the late 1890s, the Lakota people had already lost nearly everything they had. Their land, their freedom to roam, and the buffalo that once sustained them. Forced onto reservations, starving, sick, and stripped of autonomy, they turned to a spiritual movement called the Ghost Dance. This dance was a prayer, a prophecy, a desperate hope that one day the United States and its colonizers would disappear and their world would be whole again. Well, the US government didn't see it that way. Fearing an uprising, they deployed more troops than they had since the Civil War, targeting the movement's leaders. One Sioux chief, Bigfoot, sick and barely able to stand, tried to lead his people to safety, but he never made it. Soldiers caught them, rounded them up, and started taking their weapons. Then, you can Google for details. At least 150 Lakota people lost their lives. And the weirdest thing is that this event was labeled a battle, and some soldiers were even awarded medals. So, still think history tells the whole truth? Number 13. Stained glass. Step into an old cathedral, look up at the stunning stained glass windows, and prepare to admire centuries of craftsmanship. But what no one tells you? Those rich, glowing colors had a secret ingredient, and we bet no one gonna like it. Back in the Middle Ages, genius glassmakers discovered that mixing metallic oxides with something very human helped the color bond better, and that something was urine. Yep. Turns out, the chemical reaction from certain bodily fluids made the glass more vibrant and helped the color stick. And since medieval science was mostly, let's just try weird stuff and see what works, this trick stuck around for centuries. So next time you're in a church, admiring that sacred glow of light through ancient stained glass, just remember, you're looking at a masterpiece with a very personal touch from history. Number 12. The Vanishing Lake of Patagonia. Lakes don't just vanish into thin air, unless of course they're in Patagonia. Back in May 2007, scientists observed something downright bizarre. A lake, roughly 215,000 square feet wide, was right there in March. By May, gone. No slow drainage, no obvious cause, just a gaping hole where water used to be. NASA even got involved, snapping before and after satellite images, and all that remained was a 98-foot deep crater with chunks of ice sitting awkwardly on dry land. So, what happened? Best guess? A hidden fault line opened up beneath the lake, draining it underground in an instant. Others think a glacial shift redirected the water elsewhere. Either way, Patagonia pulled off one of nature's best "now you see me, now you don't" tricks. A lake one day, a dry crater the next. Just another Southie mystery sitting in the wilds of South America. Number 11. The Battle of Los Angeles. February 1942, war paranoia is at an all-time high. The attack on Pearl Harbor was fresh, and everyone feared Japan's next move. So when military radars pick up an unidentified object 120 miles off the coast of Los Angeles, what happens is pure chaos. Sirens wail, anti-aircraft guns light up the night sky, and for hours the city is convinced they're under attack. Just imagine their fear. Over 1,400 rounds are fired, people hunker down, searchlights scan for incoming planes, and when it's all over, there's absolutely nothing there. There were no enemy aircraft or any kind of scrap. In fact, there was nothing. Just a shaken-up city and a whole lot of questions. So what did they see? A weather balloon? A glitch in the radar? Something the government covered up? Well, on Earth, no one really knows. But that night, Los Angeles went to war with the sky and lost. Number 10. The Great Cat Massacre. Paris, 1730s. Being a printing apprentice meant working insane hours, getting garbage wages, and taking orders from well-fed, comfortable bosses. Meanwhile, their masters' pampered cats lived better than they did, lounging by the fire, getting fed scraps of actual meat while the apprentices barely scraped by. That's when the workers finally snapped. They rounded up dozens of cats, staged a mock trial, and sentenced them for the crime of living too well. What followed? A mass execution of felines, because apparently when you're powerless, the next best thing is taking it out on the pets of the people who keep you down. But this wasn't just about cruelty. It was a twisted, symbolic rebellion. These apprentices weren't just killing cats. They were mocking their own bosses, showing them exactly how unfair life was. A dark, bizarre protest that became one of history's strangest worker revolts. And the result of it was a massive cost. Number 9. The morbid history of dentures. Losing teeth today is pretty annoying, but is somehow fixable. Losing teeth in the 1800s? Well, you had two options: pay a fortune or get a dead man's leftovers. The Waterloo teeth. Yep, named after the Battle of Waterloo, 1815. After the fighting was over, scavengers combed the battlefield, yanking teeth from the mouths of fallen soldiers, cleaning them up, and selling them to dentists who made dentures for the wealthy. And if wars weren't supplying enough, desperate people would sell their own teeth to survive. That's right. If you were broke enough, you could literally sell your smile. Wealthy aristocrats wore these dentures with pride, completely ignoring where they came from. But next time you think old-timey elegance was all class and sophistication, just remember, half those fancy folks were smiling with someone else's teeth. Number 8. The Tale of Minnie Dean. Babysitters are supposed to be trustworthy, reliable, and above all, safe. But Minnie Dean's story is anything but. In the mid-1800s, this New Zealand woman ran a baby farming business, taking in unwanted or orphaned children for a fee. What seemed like an act of charity quickly turned into something far more sinister. Authorities became suspicious when children in her care started disappearing. When investigators searched her property, they discovered tiny graves and even a baby's body hidden inside a hatbox. The chilling part? She had been taking out life insurance policies on some of these kids. In 1895, Minnie Dean was convicted of murder and became the first woman to be executed in New Zealand. To this day, her name is synonymous with terror, and some believe her ghost still lingers, a cautionary tale of trust misplaced in one of history's most disturbing caregivers. Number 7. The Shadows of the Dead. World War II's final days saw two of the most devastating events in human history, the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In an instant, thousands of lives were erased, entire cities were reduced to rubble, and the world entered the nuclear age. But among the ruins, something chilling remained: the shadows of the dead. When the atomic bombs detonated, the intense thermal radiation scorched everything in its path. Anything that blocked the light, whether a person, a bicycle, or a railing, left a permanent imprint on walls and sidewalks. These silhouettes, sometimes called atomic shadows, captured the exact moment people were vaporized, leaving behind a haunting trace of their existence. Decades later, these eerie outlines still serve as silent witnesses to one of history's darkest moments, a stark reminder of the unimaginable power of nuclear warfare and the lives it stole in an instant. And it can happen again. Number 6. The original leather-bound books. Leather-bound books have long been a symbol of luxury and prestige, but in the past, some took the term original leather to an unsettling extreme. It was anthropodermic bibliopagy, the binding of books in human skin. This wasn't some fictional horror story. Historical records confirm that in the 18th and 19th centuries, certain books were covered in the skin of executed criminals, medical cadavers, or even individuals who left their remains for the purpose. Some of these books included medical texts, law records, and even personal memoirs, creating an eerie connection between the reader and the deceased. While some examples still exist in libraries and private collections, the practice faded as society's views on ethics and basic human decency evolved. Still, it's a stark reminder that history isn't just about grand achievements. Sometimes, it's about the deeply unsettling things people thought were totally fine at the time. Number 5. The history of the American flag. The stars and stripes are instantly recognizable, but few people know that the modern American flag started as a high school assignment, and one that almost flunked. In 1958, Robert G. Heft, a 17-year-old student, designed a 50-star version of the U.S. flag, anticipating the future addition of Alaska and Hawaii as states. When he submitted it for a school project, his teacher wasn't impressed, giving him a B- for what was considered an unnecessary redesign. But Heft wasn't about to accept that. He sent his flag to Congress, and when Alaska and Hawaii officially joined the Union, his design was chosen as the new national flag. In 1960, President Eisenhower invited him to Washington to witness the official adoption of the flag, and let's just say that teacher had to rethink the whole B- thing. Sometimes even the biggest national symbols come from the most unexpected places. Number 4. Mozart's dirty songs. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is known for his brilliant symphonies, operas, and piano concertos, but what history books often skip over? The man was an absolute menace when it came to dirty humor. Beyond his elegant compositions, Mozart wrote songs that would make your grandma faint, including one literally titled, "Lick Me in the Ass." Yes, that's real. His letters to family members, especially his cousin, were filled with raunchy jokes, crude humor, and references to bodily functions that would get him banned from most social gatherings today. Far from being just a prankster, this side of Mozart shows that even the most refined geniuses have their unfiltered moments. He may have revolutionized classical music, but he also left behind some of the wildest, most inappropriate compositions ever written by a celebrated composer. Well, guess even the greats had their moments of pure chaos. Number 3. Genghis Khan. Say the name Genghis Khan, and you probably think of brutal conquests, a vast empire, and an army that crushed everything in its path. But here's something no one saw coming. This guy may have inadvertently helped cool the planet. During the 13th and 14th centuries, Genghis Khan's empire expanded so aggressively that it erased nearly 40 million people. While that's undeniably horrifying, it had an unexpected effect. Abandoned farmland across Asia and Europe was again taken by forests, pulling massive amounts of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Some scientists estimate that this sudden reforestation led to one of history's earliest cases of man-made climate impact, but in the opposite direction. So while Genghis wasn't exactly an environmentalist, his conquests left a carbon footprint, or lack thereof, that modern climate scientists still study today. A reminder that even history's worst villains can have unintended consequences. Number 2. The Nazis' secret war drug. Fighting a war with the whole world takes more than weapons. It takes endurance. And Adolf Hitler wasn't just building an army, he was chemically engineering one. His secret weapon? Pervitin, a little pill that kept Nazi soldiers awake, alert, and terrifyingly aggressive. The main ingredient was methamphetamine. By 1940, Pervitin was a standard issue for German troops, especially during blitzkrieg attacks, where soldiers needed to fight for days without any kind of rest. Housewives used it as a diet pill, workers took it to power through exhausting shifts, and Hitler himself hooked on injections of stronger versions. The result? Well, soldiers pushed far beyond human limits, marching without sleep for 3 days straight, numb to fear and exhaustion. But the side effects were horrific. Hallucinations, paranoia, and full-body breakdowns left many psychologically shattered. By the war's end, meth-fueled warfare had taken its toll. It's a creepy secret. Did you know about it? Well, let us know your thoughts in the comment below. Number 1. The Green Children of Woolpit. History is weird, but sometimes it's downright baffling. Take the Green Children of Woolpit, one of the strangest and most debated mysteries from medieval England. Sometime in the 12th century, 2 children, a boy and a girl, appeared out of nowhere in the village of Woolpit, England. They didn't speak any recognizable language, they refused to eat anything except raw beans, and, here's the kicker, they had green skin. Yeah, actually green skin. Over time, the girl learned English and shared their story. According to her, they came from a strange underground world with no sun, called the Land of St. Martin. The boy? He didn't make it. But the girl eventually adapted, lost her green tint, and went on to live a normal life. So, what were they? Lost children? Aliens? Interdimensional travelers? No one knows for sure. But centuries later, this mystery still haunts historians, and let's be honest, it's way creepier than any fairy tale. If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.